Hey, what's up? It's your boy Rawk. Recently I was thinking, we all put so much effort into everything we do. Day in and day out, people all around the world spend all of their waking hours working towards achieving goals and dreams. But why? What's the point in all that? Why should I put effort into something that I want done? Because at the end of the day, there's always someone that'll do it for me eventually. Doshin the Giant. Doshin the Giant? How the hell do you pronounce that?
Doshin.
Well, that seems conclusive enough for me. Doshin the Giant released on the Nintendo GameCube on September 20th, 2002 here in the UK, March 14th, 2002 in Japan, and July 33rd, 2000 never in the US. That's right, f*** you, Ohio, what do you have? Ooh, look at me, I'm Ohio, I have Q before survival of the fittest. Well, we have Doshin the Giant, bitches! 2002 wasn't humanity's first Doshin the Giant rodeo, though, as this sucker originally released on the Nintendo 64 DD in Japan exclusively on December 1st, 1999. And it was one of the few 64 DD games that actually released. Do you think it sold well? The game also received an expansion, sequel, thing, a few months later in May 2000. And from what I can tell, it was fundamentally a Doshin the Giant gawking simulator. You play as small child Mickey over here and go absolutely effing wild staring at this caged jelly baby while totally comprehending why this was a standalone release. The original game was then reworked for the GameCube, bada bing, bada boom, one thing that the UK will always have going for it compared to the States, and Jesus Christ, it's incredibly underwhelming that it just so happens to be this. Now I got this guy just before the great GameCube price inflation of 2020 reared its ugly head in, and it's been sitting comfortably in my backlog ever since. Before owning this sucker, I'd seen a few gameplay clips online, but even still, one question about this game lingered in my mind for many, many months. What the hell do you do in this game? This wasn't a question that could simply be answered by waiting to play the game. I knew I was going to have to enlist the help of an expert. I flew over to Google in search for someone who could give me the answers to the many mysteries of this game that mankind had been pondering for centuries. I scrolled for hours and hours, and yet my search remained fruitless, until the realization hit me. The answers I had been looking for were there all along. Everything I needed was right in front of me, and I just hadn't cared to look. You see, there is one man, one deity, who has all of the infinite wisdom of the universe regarding this game. Almighty Master Only. After making this connection, I wasted no time. I got in contact with Alex immediately and asked him everything I needed to ask him.
Rawk says, I myself am a budding Doshin the Giant completionist. Do you have any wisdom to share, O wise one?
I waited for a reply with much hesitation, scared that Master Only would not hear my cries. But to my dismay...
Make islands when you're making new villages. And be wary of boxes that contain villages you may not want.
Just like that. The almighty Master Only heeded my call and blessed me with his wisdom. Naturally, I felt hesitant to lean fully into this advice, so I contacted the diet god of the Doshin the Giant community, Mr. John Cartwright, who simply had this to say.
That's just a good life lesson, to be honest.
With the wisdom of Master Only and the support of Diet God Cartwright, I now had all of the information I needed. I could now do what I was put on this very earth to do. I could play Doshin the Giant. It's time for me to do what the Ohioans can't comprehend. Fuck, it's a donut! Popping the game in and we are greeted by... There are multiple things about this that bug me. Hey God, please explain this background. Come on man, you had the entire rest of Doshin for the camera to focus on here, but nope! You decided to focus on his crotch. The porn industry doesn't know what's about to hit it. And then whenever you select a menu option, the game has to take a minute to completely stop and digest what the hell you just did. Like you just want to fiddle around in the options menu, but the game has to have a fucking breakdown before you can do that. And the text that appears on screen makes the game seem kind of unfinished. Anyway, in Doshin the Giant you play as none other than Doshin the Giant, my favourite next Smash character. You emerge from the ocean every morning and are plopped onto this random island. Now can you head back into the ocean? No. Turns out though, there are real-life human beings on this island, and it's our job as this walking tub of Play-Doh over here to help them with any and all requests they might have for us. You see, being a giant comes with its perks every now and then, one of them being the fact that we can straight up be God. Yes, Doshin has the ability to raise and lower the land at any given time. Need an ocean bridge? Well, do I have a sentient banana for you. You raise the land by pressing the X button and lower it by pressing the Y button. Even though on the standard GameCube controller layout, the Y button is above the X button, I'm contracting a blood clot just thinking about this. Other than the ride-inducing button mapping, however, this is such a great concept. Being able to freely structure the land to meet your needs is an absolute blast, and can be wildly beneficial in many instances. And from a technical standpoint, this is seriously impressive. Sure, by today's standards, this isn't the most mind-blowing thing out there, but this game came out in 2002, and this exact same game mechanic is present in the 64DD version from 1999. That is absolutely insane. The execution is sublime too. I'm not gonna sit here and deny that there are times that it can get a bit finicky and not work exactly as you wanted it to, but again, 2002. Outside of that, our friendly local inflatable tube guy can pick up any and everything that dares to be in his way. With these things available to him at any given time, Doshin has complete control over the island. And the villagers make sure to exploit that fact. Every now and then, the inhabitants of the island will throw a request right at your face, and it's Doshin's job to see to their every need. This can be to alter the height of the ground, to give them a fucking tree, and then sometimes they'll just tell you to do something but not tell you what. No! Doing these tasks helps you fill the love meter, fundamentally the fruit tally from Yoshi's story, but with hearts. Completing the circle causes Doshin to get bigger, granting him more strength and more speed. Now I'm still waiting for my patent for this phrase, so consider yourself lucky. This is the last time you'll hear me say this game works on a day and night system without me owning the phrase. What is it with me and playing GameCube games that revolve around the sun? The days in this game last 30 minutes. You piss off back to the ocean and emerge again in the morning. And you're back to being tiny Doshin, which is sort of kind of a little bit super fucking stupid. My god, he's so slow! You get used to walking at a decent speed only for you to have to return to the size of a Lego figure. Helping the villagers does do more than just make you bigger, as if you help a certain town enough, they'll erect a monument to you. Kind of. You have to give them a flower, which you can only create by putting certain types of trees next to each other. And if you don't give it them in time, then damn it! You have to destroy the monument and try again. You have to get 16 monuments in total, each one from a different village. Each village is represented by its own colour or combination of colours. You start with 4, being red, blue, green and yellow, and you make new ones by taking a male and female from different coloured villages, plumbing them together and waiting for them to follow in the footsteps of Captain Olimar. And once you've created all potential villages and gotten monuments from all of them, you've effectively beaten the game. I think. Yeah, you thought all of that sounded complicated? Well, get a load of this. The game doesn't tell any of this to you, and you kind of have to figure this out for yourself through trial and error or divine intervention. Now, of course, you might question how I know the completion criteria, but I've been in contact with Jesus, so trust me when I say this is way a thing you have to do to beat the game. But what if you want to go against the good-willed nature of Doshin the Giant? What if you want to take a walk on the immoral side of life? Well, there's always an alter ego. All of the buttons on this controller are fantastic, but nuh-uh. I really want to see what this one does.
The gentle giant is no more.
Well, that took 23 minutes less than I expected. Introducing Jashin the Hate Giant. This is what happens when you piss Doshin off. Now, with Jashin being a creature of unfiltered hatred, yeah, the villagers don't like him too much. You do anything as Jashin and they'll spew hate at you, which will cause the circle to be filled with skulls. Oh god, what happens when that fills? Huh. I grow. Well, surely if I make them hate me enough, there'll be consequences that aren't the exact same as getting them to love Doshin. Okay, well, surely Jashin's movement will make you not want to play as him. I mean, he can't change the height of the ground, he can't pick things up, he can walk faster, he can cover massive distances in one jump with his wings. Huh. Yeah, Jashin is basically a better version of Doshin in every conceivable way, and he can basically replace Doshin for the entirety of a playthrough, and you'd get almost the exact same outcome. But I have to look at the colour red now, so why would I do that? From what I can tell, playing as Jashin will get you to that sweet, sweet ending a whole lot quicker. Which, like, yeah, you could do that, but you don't really do anything playing this way. The whole playthrough basically consists of turning red and scaring the piss out of everybody with the mere fact that you exist. Rinse and repeat until they build hate shrines, and boom, credits. It's a much easier way to beat the game. But it kind of feels soulless. Jashin is a necessary evil at some points in the game. Like, sometimes natural disasters will occur, and Jashin is way better equipped than Doshin to handle them. But once they're gone, you can go back to being Happy Yellow Man without the villagers noticing too much. Like, yeah, they'll be upset, but I think they'd be more upset if they'd been cremated. That's it. There fundamentally isn't much more to the game than what I've already discussed. Now, how does that make me feel? Well, Doshin the Giant is quite the polarizing experience, all things considered. The game doesn't really give you any goals, and you have to either look up what to do or just piss around and find the end goal organically. which is certainly easier said than done. This feels like a game that was truly meant to last the player for a long time. It's the sort of game where you just kind of make your own fun. If you're sitting down to try and play it to completion, it's alright. But if you take the time to appreciate the game and its world, then this game is really something special. Even the little things have depth. Like when Doshin grows, sure he gets faster and stronger, but he can also destroy things accidentally a lot more easily. Every element of his actions have pros and cons to them, and that's really admirable. Sure, Jashin might be something of an automatic win button, but if you go for a purely Doshin-based playthrough, then his inclusion is just another move that has its pros and cons. The entire game is absolutely brimming with charm. It's a strange bugger, I don't think anyone would argue that, but the game has personality in spades, from start to finish and even beyond. Speaking of finishing, the ending. It's alright. There's something symbolic about Doshin's sacrifice and transformation into an island, but the island he turns into is a little bit too Soviet Union for my liking. Doshin the Giant isn't the best game out there, far from it, but it is absolutely a game worth giving your time to, and it taught me that while good, honest work will pay off eventually, sometimes it can be disturbingly beneficial to be despised. And it also taught me that constantly having your crotch exposed is one of life's necessary evils, but the court did not agree with me on that one!